Ms. Sykes, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman and Ranking Member Norton, for holding this hearing today. I think we have already solicited a lot of great information that we can consider as we continue this work, especially with our reauthorization this year. As many of you know, I am a member from Ohio, and I always like to talk about that we are the heart of it all. That is our state's motto. Also, we have over 49,000 center lane miles, and you can get to a significant part of the United States population in just a day's drive from Ohio. So we are very unique in geography and getting across this country. And I know that trucking is a major part of moving goods across the country through our state. And so I am a strong believer that truck drivers are the lifeblood of our nation's commerce, moving these essential goods across the country from coast to coast every day. And I thank them for the work, and all of you for the work that you do, ensuring that these goods can make it to people and we can increase our quality of life. But certainly trucking is not an easy job, and sometimes it's not the most safe job in America. And in the first half of 2024, we've seen many people killed in traffic crashes involving large trucks, and although it has declined, we certainly have a lot more work to do. Fortunately, policies in the bipartisan infrastructure law continue to provide critical funding to communities across the country and ensure that America's infrastructure remains in working condition to support the needs of the American people. And we have seen this in Ohio's 13th district with some resources for local bridge projects, critical infrastructure in particular that needs to be replaced. But I know that our local governments and sometimes our state governments just don't have the resources to do it on their own. Mr. Scandaglia, can you talk to us a little bit more about the bipartisan infrastructure law and how has some of the funding increased trucker safety, not only for the drivers, but the public at large?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. The IJA and the money we invested in our infrastructure has been substantial. The projects you mentioned are good examples of that. I believe the bill did somewhere in the area of $40 billion for bridges. So we have made substantial progress by having a bold bill. But unfortunately, there is a lot left to do. We hear a lot in this, the phrase crumbling infrastructure, but for our drivers, it's crumbling workforces, or crumbling workplaces, I'm sorry. So there's a lot left to do. We've made good progress, but we hope to build on that in the upcoming surface reauth.
Thank you so much. And I'd like to draw the committee's attention to the issue of truck size and weight. And I know we've heard a lot about that from the testimony here. And I have in the past year, well, not even year, a couple of weeks, received a significant amount of outreach from local elected officials, specifically resolution from the city of Akron, letters from Monroe Falls and Macedonia, raising concerns about increasing truck limits. And I know this conversation will be one that we will go back and forth on quite a bit, but I do want to hear a bit more from you, Mr. Lindsay, about your perspective and why we should increase it. And then Mr. Scandaglia, I know you may have a different perspective and why we should not. So if we could dig into that a little bit deeper, Mr. Lindsay, and then continue.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Sykes. Appreciate the question. First of all, safety is our #1 priority, but we've got to be as efficient as we can moving goods. And when most of our trucking happens in a last mile scenario, so we're utilizing every mode of transportation that we can on a CRH side. So Shelley Materials in Ohio, it's impossible for us to do anything else but truck that last mile to a customer or to a job site, right? And we love that. But leaving a yard with 3 pallets on a flatbed versus 4 or 5, depending on the weight, makes no sense. So for us, it's efficient. And we also have data we can supply to this committee. We've supplied in the past that shows adding that 6th axle is a greater, one more point of contact. So you're spreading instead of 80,000 over 5, we're spreading 91 over 6, right? I'm not a mathematician, but those are better numbers. And the truck shows to stop a foot or 2 sooner than with a 5 axle. So safety is our #1 concern. We would not be a part of something that was not safe.
Thank you.
From our perspective, we look at, again, I mentioned a little earlier, the Department of Transportation study that found heavier trucks had a 47 to 400% higher crash rate than 80,000-pound trucks, and that those trucks also had substantially higher out-of-service violations and brake violation rates. So we think that there is data that demonstrates a real safety problem here. But again, I think the most important message I can deliver on truck weight is the perspective of our drivers who know what this would look like for them and tell us that they don't want to be put behind the wheel of those vehicles.
Thank you. I know I'm out of time for the question, but if I may, if the waivers, I know we have in Ohio, for example, may be helpful, and perhaps we can talk offline about whether or not the waiver process is efficient for addressing your needs, Mr. Lindsay, but also keeping folks safe. Thank you. Mr. Chair, I yield back.